Hiring an illustrator sounds simple until you start looking and realize that there's a whole world of styles, illustration techniques, and specialties. If you've ever thought, I just need a drawing, why is this so complicated? Then this video should help you. I'll walk you through what illustration actually is, the different types of illustrations you'll come across, and how to figure out what kind of artist fits your project best. First things first, you've got to figure out what you actually need illustrated. Sounds simple, but it's easy to overlook. Not all illustrators do the same kind of work, and illustration as a field covers way more ground than most people realize. There are tons of different types of illustration, and each one serves a specific purpose. So let's walk you through a few common ones real quick. Editorial illustration is what you'll see in magazines, newspapers, and on book covers. These are usually there to add depth to a story or vibe to an article. They're meant to complement the content, not totally take over. Then you have advertising illustration that is a little louder. It's made to grab your attention right away. Think posters, ads, and marketing visuals that need to get the message across fast and clearly. Then you've got concept art, which shows up a lot in movies and games. This kind of illustration is used to map out characters, settings, or scenes before anything goes into production. It's basically the visual planning stage. Fashion illustration is another one you've probably seen before. Those stylized sketches of outfits that show up before they're made. Designers use them to pitch ideas and help people visualize the final look. Scientific illustration is more technical. If you've ever flipped through a biology textbook or seen diagrams of organs, cells, or ecosystems, that's scientific illustration. It's all about accuracy and detail. And then there are infographics, which live somewhere between illustration and design. Their job is to take data or information and make it visual, fast to read and easy to understand. Once you know what type of illustration fits your project, it gets way easier to find someone who actually specializes in that style. You don't want to end up hiring someone who mostly does editorial work when what you need is a detailed scientific diagram. Now that you've got a better idea of what kind of illustration you're after, there are 3 things you're gonna want to figure out before you start reaching out to anyone. Your budget, your timeline, and the kind of technique you're looking for. Let's start with the one that tends to make people the most uncomfortable. Budget. Rates can vary a lot depending on the illustrator, how complex the project is, and how many changes you'll need, and whether the work is for something small and personal or a full-blown campaign. Instead of asking, how much is this going to cost, try thinking about it like this. What's this worth to me? It's going to be something that's going on your book cover or your product packaging or even your website. That's part of your brand and simply worth investing in. That said, if you're working with a smaller budget, just be honest about it up front. A lot of illustrators are open to working within a range or can suggest ways to scale things down to fit your budget. Now, let's talk timeline. Even the simpler looking illustrations can take a while. So before you contact anyone, ask yourself when you actually need the final thing delivered to you. And this is really important. Build in some buffer time. If your deadline's Friday, don't ask for the finished piece on Thursday night. Give your illustrator room to revise and make it great. Last up, we have the different types of illustration techniques. This is where things get fun, because each technique gives your project a different look and feel. Pencil is great for clean sketches, lettering, or anything that needs that hand-drawn, detailed vibe. Charcoal is more textured and dramatic, which is great for quick expressive work or something moodier. Watercolor, on the other hand, is soft and dreamy, which is why you'll see it a lot in kids' books or fashion pieces. Gouache is similar to watercolor, but thicker and more vibrant. It's often used in posters or comics when you want bold color and clean lines. Then we have college-style illustrations you've probably seen everywhere right now, especially in ads and magazines. They're super fun, layered, and full of personality. Pen and ink takes it back to the basics for a classic look, great for detailed line work and black and white compositions. Now, if you're doing something animated or kid-friendly, freehand digital might be the way to go. But if you need clean logos or scalable icons, you'll want to go with vector graphics instead. So the bottom line is that there's no single best technique. It's all about what fits the style, tone, and goals of your project. Now that you've got a budget and timeline in mind, and you're hopefully starting to get a real feel for the style you're after, it's about time to start looking for illustrators. And believe it or not, one of the best places you can start looking is actually Instagram, as it's essentially taken the place of a live portfolio for artists to post their latest projects. You can even utilize hashtags like #GuishIllustrator or #BookIllustrator to find people whose styles line up with what you're going for. And if something already catches your eye, you're already on the perfect platform to reach out and start a conversation. Other freelance platforms like Fiverr, Upwork, and People Per Hour can also be helpful, of course, especially if you're on a budget or need a quick turnaround. If you search for something like Scientific Illustrator on Fiverr, you'll see tons of profiles pop up. From there, just check their reviews, scroll through their work, and message them through the platform to make sure expectations are clear before you book the job. If you're working on something like a children's book or a visual story, try directories like Children's Illustrators or check out agencies that represent artists in that space. Word of mouth is a great option too. Ask your friends, co-workers, or even small business owners whose branding you love. Chances are they'll be happy to share who they worked with. And if you want to support someone just starting out, reach out to local art schools or universities. A lot of budding students are looking to build their portfolios and would no doubt be really excited to take on a freelance project. All right, so once you've found someone you want to work with, before they can actually get started, they're gonna need something from you first, and that is a brief. This doesn't have to be super formal, but it should cover the basics so everyone's on the same page. Start by getting clear about what you need. What's the illustration for? Is it going on a website, in a magazine, or packaging, or somewhere else? What kind of tone are you going for? Should it be playful, serious, bold, soft? Giving that kind of context helps the illustrator understand what you're aiming for. Then get into the details. What size should the final image be? Are there any specific colors, styles, or elements you want included? Maybe you already have a character or a product that needs to be drawn a certain way. You don't want to be super artistic to get your point across. Even a quick notebook sketch or a few Pinterest references can help get the idea out of your head and into theirs. Also, make sure you talk about your timeline and how many rounds of revisions you're expecting. That helps set expectations early and keeps things running smoothly. When it comes to feedback, keep it constructive. For example, instead of saying flat out, "I don't like it," try something like, "Could we try it with a warm color palette?" Because that's the kind of approach that helps keep the process collaborative and positive. So there you have it. 4 steps to help you hire the right illustrator for your project. Now, before we wrap up, I've got 3 final tips that will make things even easier. First, be sure to keep an open mind, meaning stay open to the illustrator's ideas. They're creatives after all. They might bring something to the table that you hadn't thought of initially, and it could be even better than what you pictured initially. Second, give yourself room in the timeline for feedback and edits. It's part of the process and it'll help you get a stronger final result. And finally, make sure everything is crystal clear before the work even starts. That means things like deadlines, usage rights, and payment terms. It's always better to have that locked in early than to figure it out halfway through, both for you and your illustrator. After all, working with an illustrator can be the most fun parts of a creative project because when the collaboration clicks, it really clicks. So take your time, communicate clearly, and trust the process. If this video was helpful, please do give it a thumbs up and don't forget to subscribe and hit that notification bell down below so you don't miss out on the next video we have here. As always, thanks again for watching and I'll be seeing you in the next video.